Hi guys, Freddy here and welcome to a modern RPG, an extra video this week. Because you see, I was contacted by Pani of Manic Productions, who have just published their new role-playing game, Shadow of Mogg. Now, they offered me a PDF copy free of charge, and they said if I wanted a physical copy for review, they would send me one. Now, I downloaded the PDF to have a look through it, and I was massively impressed. I was also massively impressed by the fact that they were offering me a review copy, a physical copy, without putting any extra burden on it, that I'd be free to say what I wanted. But I was so impressed, I went out and I bought it. This is actually a copy that I went and purchased. I went on their website and I bought it because I am very, very impressed with the game and they deserve my money. So, thank you very much to Pani. He's replied to me and I've asked a few questions and we'll include that as we go through. But let's go over to the desktop. So this is Shadow of Mogg. Now this is a role-playing game kind of unlike any other I've seen before. To a certain degree it introduces board game type elements into a role-playing game. But unlike something like Hero Quest, which is a board game with some role-playing elements, this is definitely a role-playing game. It just has certain elements which are more suited to a one-off quick game. But it's definitely a role-playing game. In many ways, it reminds me of some of the new style games from Hog's Head back in the day. Things like De Profundis, Adventures of Baron Munchausen, Pantheon, where they would introduce interesting new playing concepts into a role-playing game. And Shadow of Mogg definitely does that. There's some brilliant concepts in here, and I think it could be a lot of fun to play. Obviously, I've only had it a matter of days, so I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Flipping over to the back cover. So, Shadow of Mogg. Empty, alone, hungry, anxious. Shadow of Mogg is a post-Brexit tabletop role-playing game set after The Event. Do not think about the event. You play as a democratic party who survived the event and subsist in the subterranean underground network beneath the former city of London. All your decisions are made and resolved by the party for the party. Will your party prosper or succumb to the tunnels?
The Last Child, President Butterfly, and the event. Think about it. Except the event. Don't think about the event.
So The Event is an item from the comedians Mitchell and Webb. They used to do a sketch show on British television, and one of the sketches was about the event. Some unknown catastrophe which had forced the British people underground, and from scraps of memories about their former society, they were continuing, and one of the major things was a quiz show. Now, Shadow of Mogg is kind of set in that world where people remember bits of the former society, but are surviving in the scraps and in the tunnels underneath London. The Shadow of Mogg itself is referring to Jacob Rees-Mogg, a very, very right-wing British politician who is absolutely vile. He's a horrible, horrible person, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why anybody votes for him. He is so upper class. He is so disgustingly down on anybody who basically has to work for a living. This is a man who still employs his own nanny to look after his own kids. So the nanny who helped bring him up lives in his own home. But anyway, Jacob Rees-Mogg is a symbol of Brexit. He was one of the big supporters of it and has moved his millions out of the country after Brexit, so he's not affected by the consequences of it. Very much a symbol of what Brexit stands for. But anyway, this is a post-Brexit, post-event world where people live underground and try and keep to what they knew before. And the party is one of the things. They remember that the country was run by political parties, so they organize themselves into parties. So political party and party of players, adventuring party, is synonymous here. And you basically are wandering around as your own little political party where people can vote on the rules and then the party has to act by them. And it's a wonderful idea to link those two things together. Let's start skipping through. So, one of the slight disappointments of the physical copy is it's got this great underground map here, basically detailing all the tunnels below London and how your players will move around. It's kind of board game-like, but obviously you're not actually moving counters around. Now, the map being split like this, I don't particularly like. In the PDF, obviously, it's spread across 2 pages and a lot easier to see, but it being split on the front and back covers is a bit annoying. We've got some tables here. Hello, good evening, and remain indoors. So the catchphrase of the event videos from Mitchell and Webb.
Hello, good evening, and remain indoors.
We've got some detailing about role-playing, the themes, lines and veils, the speaker, so your games master, the party. All of the players play as a member of the party. As party members, your role is to play your characters as though they're real people, work out your own party-led goals. Ask yourself, who are you? Ensure all decisions are voted on. Vote on party laws. Vote on difficult decisions that the party has to make. Accept the speaker's word. We've got the body stats and mind stats. So body stats are hench and dash. So how strong you are and how quick you are. And the mind stats are nogging and bants. So how clever you are and how charismatic you are. You randomly determine your class by rolling 2d6. And then you've got lots of very stereotypical British TV things. The Pandy Ponty firefighter, so Fireman Sam. Intensive care nurse, Mogg rustler, tinker, tailor, soldier, spy. East End grifter, Geller psychic, so somebody who bends spoons like Uri Geller. Rated survivor of the Dungeness nuclear station. UCL humanities professor. QMUL computer science graduate. Urchin, a Royal Bank of Scotland chief executive. Church of England vicar. Extinction activist. The People's Front of Jezza and the Jezza's People Front. So references there to Monty Python's Life of Brian with the People's Front of Judea. But Jezza here being Jeremy Corbyn, the very divisive left-wing former Labour leader. Proletariat, bourgeois, aristocrat, barrister, Old Street beggar, Brixton Bobby, black cabbie, landlord, Cumbrian coal miner, West Country farmer, Highlander, train driver, primary school teacher, tabloid journalist, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, Whig, and chrono aristocrat. So all of those you're rolling 2d6, so if you roll a 1 and a 6, you're going to be a soldier. If you roll a double 6, then you get to re-roll 2 dice again, and if you roll a double 6 again, then you get to be a chrono aristocrat, basically a Time Lord. You get to be Doctor Who. So it's got some ideas here when you select or you randomly generate your character, what their skills are going to be, what their armor, weapons, what stuff they've got. Intensive care nurse, Mogg rustler, tinker, tailor. Now, the pages are all smudged here. Now, I thought that was just kind of clever Photoshop artwork to make the pages look nice. And I did comment when I got the PDF, I said to Panny that you can't search the PDF. So when I was looking for certain things, I tend to use search to get around the PDF much quicker to take me straight to where what I'm looking for. And the PDF's not searchable. And he pointed out that this is not computer text on an image background. These were all physically made. Where this looks like it's a sticker stuck onto a page, he actually did that, and then he marked the pages. The burn on the front cover is a burn. He commented that his flatmates commented that they smelt burning through the night and they knew he was working on his game. There's a tea mark on it where he accidentally just spilt tea. Thought it looked good, so kept it in. So we've got all the different characters. Now, it's a bit difficult to read through them. Sometimes the marking in the background's a bit heavy, but this is a piece of art, essentially. It's lovely. Geller psychic, humanities professor. Just to follow up on that as well. Penny did point out he's getting a computer-generated version made up, which will be searchable. Basically a graphics light version, which he'll be distributing free of charge to everybody who's bought a copy. Which is just wonderful of him. What a guy. I'm hugely impressed. RBS Chief Executive. They have no idea how hard you worked for all you had, and now everything has gone to shit. Church of England Vicar. Repent, for the end is extremely fucking nigh. People's Front of Jezza. We must unite behind the champion of the people. Jezza's People Front. We must unite behind the champion of the people. But they hate each other. They hate splitters. They hate each other more than anybody else. Aristocrats. The peasants are revolting. Old Street Beggar. Before the event you had nothing. What have you lost? Nothing. That's a Life of Brian one as well, isn't it? Landlord. You are not entitled to housing just because you exist. Anyway, let's flick through all these. Some, I won't say great artwork, but it serves its purpose. It does look very sketched and post-apocalyptic. It fits the tone of the game wonderfully. If we had, Brian Bolland style artwork here, which were beautiful strokes and clear pictures, they would not suit the tone of this game. It's very punk, it's very thrown together on purpose. Now we've got the Whigs and the Chrono Aristocrat, which is obviously Tom Baker with a different British phone box instead of the police box that he uses. The core mechanic, the vote, because all decisions have to be made by the party by voting. You are a political party and you can only act together. Resolution, so how you do the dice rolls and skills. Critical failures, double plus ungood. Herd immunity rolls. Party resources, so all the stuff your group has. Party manifesto sheet. And then we're on to navigating the tunnels. So, random events. You roll depending on which line of the underground you're on. The random roll you get gets you a different event. So you roll a d12. If you roll a 3 and you're on the central line, then you get 62. But if you're on the Piccadilly line, then for a 3 you'll get 31.
Sheila, any pre-event knowledge you wish you'd absorbed?
Well, I think if I'd taken in more survival tips for children, that would have been helpful.
Oh, yes. Post-event, the world would have been a different place if we'd managed to keep even some of the children alive.
And we've got the random tunnel events. So these are the ones that you've rolled on that table, and they go from basically combat encounters through to proper role-playing, because this is a proper role-playing game. I can't get that point across heavily enough. While elements of it, because it's very random, feel like a board game that you're rolling dice for random events, you're actually getting to do some role-playing. You've got your character and you role-play through the situations. It's one of the purest expressions of role-playing I've seen in a while. A very interesting idea. So we've got different things here. British reactors do not melt down. A crumpled bright yellow radiation suit lies here. And the rest of the encounter, I'll not spoil them all. A dusty part of librarians pass a book to one another, lit by a lone candle. A man in a medical outfit stands staring at the tunnel wall and repeatedly smashing his head against the wall. Army of the 12 Monkeys. A handsome long-haired man wearing an orange jumpsuit leads a menagerie of a dozen monkeys down the tunnels. His name is Jeff. The New Apostle. A person in a black suit wearing a top hat stands in front of an altar in front of a large gathered crowd. You are very hard-working and a useful engine. An underground train rests on the portion of the track. It's empty and appears to be in both fair condition and working order, although its doors are sealed. So we've got different phases of the game. So Koch phase, navigation procedure, voting procedure, party resolution procedures. The upper lip, because instead of sanity rules, this is very British, so you've got the British stiff upper lip. As you know, your lip starts quivering and you start to lose things. A fantastic, very British, very funny concept. We've got hooks here, the underground stations. Then we've got the manifesto sheet and the character sheet. What we've got? Britbon game translations. And the index at the back. And the bonk chart. So basically damage. Fatal bonk. You've kicked the bucket, your character is deceased and out of the game. Heal. Nothing. Your character has ceased to be. They are an ex-character. So that's Shadow of Mogg. I really like it. It's a fun concept. It's definitely something that round a table, if your weekly game fell apart, you could just pull out, roll a couple of dice, people have selected characters, and then you can do some proper role-playing instead of just filling in by playing Risk or whatever your game is that you play when you fill in a session which has fallen apart. But anyway, I think I've ranted on for quite long enough, as usual. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, as it does me massive favours with the YouTube algorithm. Please go over to Manic Productions and have a look at the game and see if you want to purchase it, because I do highly recommend it. I think ideas as good as this one should be supported.
We play the game. I'm sure the food will come. They won't leave us here. We play the game, then the food will come.
Exactly. Now get back on your podium and do the boxes.
But, as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.